Okay, the declining balance method of depreciation is different to the straight line method. In the straight line method, every single year we went down by the same value of money. Oliver, pay attention. In the example yesterday, we looked at a car that went down by 15% in the first year. And I think it was Bronte that asked, do we go down by 15% every year? That's what we're going to do in today's example. So declining balance is where you go down by a percentage of the car's value each year. So if I had a car that started with initial value, remember initial value was V0 of $20,000, and I knew that it declined at 8% each year, then I could work out the value after 1 year by declining it by 8%. How would I decrease a value by 8%? 8 over 100 times 20,000. This would be the first step. What does that give me? $1,600? That's what you're going to get? Yep. So that's what it's gone down in the first year. So my value after 1 year, remember, what letter did we use for how much it was worth as we went along? Remember what letter we used? S. S. And what did S stand for? Salvage value. So S, after 1 year, is 20,000 minus 1,600. Quiet. So what does that give me? 8,500. Okay, in the second year, yep.
It's fine. Like, you know how you have to find 8% and then
Yep.
like minus it off?
Yep.
Instead of doing that, could you just do like 92 over 100?
Absolutely, that's the way I would do it. If you are trying to find 8% and then subtract it off, surely it'll be a lot quicker to do it in one go and say, well, I had 100%, I took 8 away, is that someone at the door?
Yeah, I think so.
And I've got 92% left.
Where's it?
So there will be 92%. So I could put both of these together in one step, and I could say the salvage value after 1 year will be 92%. I could write 92 and 100 or 0.92 times 20,000, and that will give me the answer in one go. So that's the way I prefer to do it. I don't mind whether you find 8% and subtract it off or find 92% in one go. They're going to give you the same answer. I like this way because it's quicker and I have to press less buttons on the calculator, and maybe I'm just lazy. All right, now the second year. It's not going to depreciate by 1,600 this year because I'm going to calculate 15% not of its initial value, but on what it was worth at the end of the first year. So let's say we're using this method again. In the second year, it will go down by 8% of this. So I need to calculate 8% of 18,400. So I'm going to calculator work that out for me.
Me too.
You got it sorted?
Me too. 1472.
Was it 1,000?
470.
Okay, so can you see in the second year, it didn't go down by the same amount. It was slightly less in its depreciation. So the salvage value after 2 years will be the first year minus the declining balance, which gives me what as a total? Someone work that out for me?
84. 16,928.
16,928. And we could keep going year after year. Now, if I'm going to draw a graph of this, it's not going to create a straight line because we know a straight line needs to have a constant gradient. But each time I'm going down, Oliver, come on. Each time I'm going down by a slightly different amount. Now, as time goes on, salvage value, this is time. As time goes on, the value I go down by each year is a little bit less. So what will happen is that it will create a curve. So you'll go down by lots the first year, a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less over each year, and it won't create a straight line, it'll create this curve over time, where you're still going down each year by a certain percentage, but what you're dropping by is a much smaller amount each year. Now, if I wanted to know what the car was worth in 20 years, that's going to take me a very long time to calculate it, subtract it off 20 times. Luckily for us, there is a formula that allows us to do that, which we didn't have a nice formula for loans. We had to do it the long way, but we have a formula for declining balance. Again, this is on your formula sheet. You do not have to memorize it, but it might... Shh. Okay, please don't. But it might be helpful to write it down. So it uses the same letters. Okay, it starts with S equals, and it starts with V naught. Remember, S is salvage value, V naught, the initial value of the car. Now, it's going to be a formula that should look rather familiar to you.
Oh! What's up,
Okay, looks like compound interest, but what's different?
Minus, not plus.
It's minus, not plus. So compound interest has a plus in there. Don't ask that. Surely we don't.
Don't ask that.
Compound interest. That's yes, that's important. That's a 1. This is the number 1, not an I. Shh. You right, boys? So we've got V naught being initial value. This is the number 1. This is our rate per period expressed as what? Not expressed as a percentage when I put it in the formula. What's it expressed as? A decimal or a fraction, either one's fine.
Yeah.
And what's N?
Number of years.
Number of periods. Most of the time for this stuff we're talking at years though. So if I had my car, the same car is worth 20,000, going down by 8% a year, but this time I want to work out, seeing you behind the screen there, this time I want to work out what's going to happen after 10 years, but I don't want to do this process over and over. So if we take our 20,000, we're still using 8%, so I'm going to do 1 minus 0.8. 0.08, sorry. Because 8% as a decimal is 0.08. If you put 8 on 100, that'll be fine. And this time I want to see what happens after 10 years. So I'm looking for the salvage value after 10 years. Kyle, stop. So if I pick up my calculator and put that in, what do I get? Make sure you put the brackets in, and you use the x to the power of y button.
If I did not put the brackets in.
So what was that, Tim? $8,687.77. Okay, now remember, unless told otherwise, always give the cents and always 2 decimal places. Money is always 2 decimal places. Unless the question asks for the car's value to the nearest dollar. Okay, in which case you need to round it to the nearest dollar. Alright, does everyone understand basically how we use that formula?
Yeah.
The questions are fairly straightforward. The only one that's a little bit tricky, we're going to do a second... Shh. Okay, there's one slight tricky exam. We're going to look at that. Oliver, do you have a question?
No.
Can you wait till one more example, please? Okay. Okay, so the last example I want to look at is that we are told what the car is worth, and we're trying to find how, sorry, we're told what the car's worth at the beginning, so we're going to be told that V naught, quiet. Okay, so we're told V naught is, let's say it's worth 36,000. Okay, so I know what it's worth. I know that it's going to There's too much chatter, year 11. Okay, I know that it's going to depreciate at 15%, let's say 15% a year, so it's, my rate is 15% per year. Okay, this time, I'm not going to tell you how long it takes to depreciate. I want to know how long will it be until my car is worth less than $20,000. Okay, so I want to know when is my car worth less than 20,000. Okay, so looking at our formula, we know our formula, let's write it up here. S equals V naught 1 minus R to the power of N. So in that formula, what do I know? I know, right? I know that V naught is 36,000.
Yeah.
Stop being silly. I know my interest rate is 15%, so I'm going to put 0.15. And I have no idea what N is, so I'm going to leave that as an unknown. Because the question is asking when. I don't know when it is. But the value I'm interested in is I want... Yes. I want this value to be less than $20,000. I don't know what it actually equals, but I want it to be less than $20,000. So I'm going to use trial and error. Okay? Give me a guess. How long do you think it's going to take?
10.
20.
Try 10 years? Okay, so we're going to put this in. Let's try n equals 10. If you put n equals 10 into this expression, what do you get for s? So type it in, 36,000 brackets 1 minus 0.15 to the power of 10. What do we get? I don't have a calculator, so someone's going to do it for me.
Miss, is there a question that actually equals pi? Like if I was to put something in the calculator, it exactly equals pi?
Yes, but that's got nothing to do with what we're doing, Carl.
I know, I just
Okay?
was concerned.
Stay focused, please.
4 years.
7087
Oh.
and some cents. So after 10 years, it's worth 7,000. So that's way too many. All right? What could we try next?
Well,
We're going to go with 4, 6, what are we looking?
5, 4.
It is 4.
We'll go with 4. All
4.
right, let's try n equals 4. I want you to type it in again. Shh. Okay, if you want to be quick, you can just arrow back and change the 10 into a 4. That's the quickest way to do it. So don't retype the whole thing.
That's 18,792.
I knew it.
Okay, so at 4 years, it's definitely below 20,000. We should probably check what? We know at 4 years it's below 20,000. We should check 3. So let's check 3.
3.
Okay, just arrow back, replace the 4 with a 3. What do we get as our salvage value?
22,000.
Oh, it's
Salvage value is 22,108. 108. Okay, we don't care about exact value. We just want to know when it was less than 20,000. So when is it less than 20,000?
4 years.
After 4 years. Okay, so it's really important that you're sensible with your guesses. If you're way off, make sure you jump back. Need to know whether you make it bigger or smaller. Okay, that's really what we're looking at. It is guess and check, but just make sure you're very sensible in your guesses so it doesn't take too long. The other thing you could be asked to do was read information off a graph, but you guys are all awesome at that, so I think you'll find that pretty self-explanatory. All right, let's try the questions. Looking at page 375, let's go. Yep. Yeah. I should probably stop that.